Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 75 of the FReality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave us a nice review on iTunes. We'd really, really appreciate it. Thanks to everyone that's joining us live in the chat. Hello to you all. If you've got any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, please put them in the chat and we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. But now it's time for me to introduce you to the team. First up this week, he's been slicing and dicing ninjas in VR and punching walls with his controllers in real life. It's, of course, the Rowdy guy. How you doing, man? You all right?
That's right. I've been slicing and dicing. I like that intro. I like to be introduced as a ninja. But yeah, I've been doing fine. You know, hard at work, making some content, bringing out some new videos, trying to switch up the content a little bit. So yeah, I've been good. I've been good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And you're at the reins of this fine podcast this week again.
Once again, I'm at the helm and praying that everything goes well. Like
no pressure. No pressure. So next up, I've got a little secret about this next guy that you may not know, but he actually hates pigs. So much so that he flings birds at them using his slingshot. It must be a Dutch thing, I guess. It's Nathie, of course. How you doing, man? You all right?
Yeah, sounds like something familiar. Right?
It does. Oh. Wonder what that could be.
We are basically what's left of the team. Where did Zim go? Where is Zim?
Where is Zim?
Yeah.
Like,
hello, Zim? Hello?
He's stuck in Canada right now still.
Stuck?
Yeah.
He tried to cross the river.
But we did find a very nice picture of him. Right?
Yeah, we did. Can we describe it? Isn't that a picture from Oculus Go?
Well, he's not wearing all too many clothes. I don't know what all the women in the picture are doing, but for audio listeners, I think that's a pretty accurate description of what is actually happening in the picture. Yeah.
That's usually what he does when he's reviewing experiences, right?
Yeah.
On his channel, on his Twitch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Account.
So Zim is actually in Canada because he's kind of scoping the place out because he's thinking about moving there. But he's back in the UK next week, so he'll be back on the show as usual. So say hello to him. I'm sure he'll catch up live at some point. So say hello to him in the chat if you're about. But last but not least, myself, host the show, Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. In today's episode, we have got a busy show for you. We're going to be talking more about Nathie's adventures in China, particularly around visiting a VR theme park, which sounds super interesting. Looking forward to hearing more about that. We're going to be giving you the lowdown and all the details we know about Sanzaru and Oculus's newly announced title called Asgard's Wrath.
Juicy.
So make sure you stay tuned for that one. And we're also going to be talking about a new headset announced by HP and much, much more. But before we get into what we played this week, I want to wish someone a very happy birthday. Very special person that's close to the show, friend of the show, Nathie's brother and manager, of course, it's David. Happy birthday to you. It was his birthday yesterday, so everyone wish him a happy birthday in the chat.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, he's always watching live.
We're having a Beat Saber party tonight.
Nice.
For a moment, I thought you said a pizza party, and I was immediately thinking about like Temple of Pizza, like everyone just eating pizza and playing Temple of Pizza.
That's one of the best games of this year, by the way.
Definitely.
Whenever I think about David, I always think about the time that we met up in London and tried that horror arcade experience. And we were just screaming in tandem, terrified. It was hilarious, but also very scary. But yeah, let's find out what everyone's been playing in VR this week and their highlight of the week. And of course, let's fire it over to Rowdy first. What have you been up to, dude?
Yeah, I've actually not played that many games. I've played a multiplayer title, but I haven't released a video on that yet, so I'm not going to talk about that one. But I wanted to talk about Sairento, the ninja simulator kind of game that I played. And it's been I think a good year since I last played that game, and I was impressed with how much that game has improved over the recent couple of months. Basically, I've played that together with a haptic vest. They have full support for that, and that was really an insane experience, I think, to actually feel the bullets. I wasn't really that impressed with all the accessories and that kind of stuff. I tried it out, but it didn't really work for me. Maybe, I don't know, maybe my arms are too big or something. I'm just too broad. I just barely fit in the vest. So I mean,
everyone's crying with laughter in the chat.
Just the most amazing part was when they were shooting bullets at me, that I could feel the locations where the bullets hit me, and I really checked in the game, and it was pretty much an identical match with the space that I felt it. So that was really, really cool. And I look like the Punisher when I'm wearing it. So they have all the props already for making a successful product there.
It's a win-win.
A win-win. I showed it to a couple of people that are not into virtual reality, they're not into gaming, but they would buy the vest just for the looks. So
yeah, it does look cool. It does look cool. I think it looks cool as a gaming vest.
Yeah.
So with Sairento, maybe you should describe it a little bit for maybe people that have maybe missed it when it first came out and have never heard of it before.
Yeah. Well, I think that Sairento is one of those games that kind of threw everything that everyone was doing for virtual reality overboard, especially in terms of locomotion, since they have. First off, they have so many forms of locomotion, but they can go really to the extreme. So as a ninja, I think that's kind of normal that you need to go to the extreme while you're murdering people. But it's really pushing it to the next level. You can do backflips, you can do front flips, you can do side flips, you can do gliding. You have that Dishonored teleport kind of blimp thing.
It's like a dash.
A dash, that's what I meant. Yeah, you have that. You have regular locomotion. You have jumping and real high jumps. You have double jumping. So they have really a ton of locomotion in there. So I can imagine that a lot of people immediately would get motion sick in that game. I don't have that. I don't have motion sickness in any kind of title. I've only experienced it maybe one time with Nathie playing Serious Sam, but for all the rest, I've never ever had a motion sickness. So I can't really say if this game has optimized it in a certain way that people who usually get motion sick, they don't get motion sick. But for me, it was an incredible experience. I really felt like a superhero. Then you also can slow down time to dodge bullets, to slice them away with your swords. You have so many weapons in this game, from shotguns to Uzis to pistols to katanas to even certain kind of forces that you can also have. But the best parts for me were just the katanas and slicing towards your enemies, and amazing experience. Really cool game.
Yeah, I totally agree. That feeling of using your pistols at one moment and then switching and grabbing your katana behind your back and then slicing someone is really satisfying.
Or while you're doing it in slow motion, doing a backflip. You can do all those motions so smoothly and so quickly that it makes it so... Yeah, you really feel like a superhero playing that game.
Yeah.
Put
Another mechanic that I thought was really cool was when you can jump and kind of slide.
Yeah.
So it really feels like a kind of an anime manga epic scene that you've just carried out.
And they do that. They do that in a really smart way. So it's not just you need to press a button to slide. No, it's really like you would do in real life, like when you're snowboarding or something. You need to crouch down, get low to the floor so you can slide on, and then you can turn in your slide, and you see the little the metal on your shoes. You can see the little sparks flying off. So well done. So much attention to detail. I love that.
It's one of those games that, again, like we've talked about it before, but when you empower a player in VR, it's very, very satisfying. A bit like Super Hot, it really empowers you as a player, and it's the same with this game. It makes you feel like a badass, and that's kind of what makes this game so cool.
I totally
but
agree.
when you tie that together with using a haptic vest and actually feeling stuff, you take that experience to like the next level.
Yeah, completely
so it's
agree.
Very cool experience.
Yeah.
Nice one. So in terms of the haptic vest, do you sort of gets the thumbs up from you, or you said you didn't so much like the accessories?
The vest, definitely. I find the accessories a bit too cumbersome in a way that I mean, it's a prototype, of course, so everything is still vouched for changing. But what I kind of would like to see is something a little bit more like with the vest. It's less noticeable. You put the vest on, and it doesn't feel like you're having something really extra. I know it's a bit heavy maybe because of all the equipment that is in there, but with the accessories, especially the ones around my arms, I really had the feeling I was being limited in my movement a bit more, which I didn't really like. The head accessory is cool, but I don't see myself using that every time either. The accessories are for me a maybe, but the haptic vest for me is a definitely yes. Definite yes.
Yeah, maybe they should add some sleeves to it.
Yeah, but then it would be even bigger, I think, because you still need to have all the sensors that are vibrating in there. So unless they can make those sensors smaller or maybe less intensive, then I could see it
in a way when you move.
Yeah.
True.
No, I totally feel the same way about the head. Like the facial interface bit was quite uncomfortable, I felt, over a certain period of time when you're playing for longer sessions. So I kind of ditched that. I did like the sleeves, but again, I get what you mean. It's just another thing you have to consider, whereas just zipping up a vest is really simple and easy to get into.
And also, one more thing is that what I really liked is that Sairento had full support, since that's not for every title. They do work with audio, so you can play. I played some Beat Saber with it, which I thought was really cool. But I also played some Contractors with it, which is a first-person shooter that is not supported. But although the shooting was cool, I didn't really like that I felt like all of the noise around me. I wasn't really a big fan of that. So I really hope that more developers would embrace a technology like this and develop, for this specific vest rather than just audio. I know that Zim is very big on the audio adds to the experience, and I agree with that for certain games. But I didn't really feel that in a first-person shooter.
I totally agree. I tried it out with Contractors as well, using the audio-only mode. And like you said, it picks up a lot of background noise, so your vest is constantly rumbling, whereas really it should only rumble when something happens.
Yeah.
But when you fire a gun or something like that, it felt really nice.
Really good.
And I actually contacted the Contractors developers and said, look, I've tried this haptic vest. It would be ideal for your game. But they said they didn't have access to the vest right now. So when they have access to one, maybe they buy a developer's kit, then hopefully it'll get implemented in the future.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
So someone in the chat is asking, is this vest better than the sub pack? I think you should explain the differences between those two.
Yeah, definitely. There is big differences between the two, and I haven't personally tried a sub pack or a would you vest, but Sim is a big advocate of the sub pack. Basically, the B-Haptics vest uses an array of little motors. There's 20 on the front and 20 on the back, and it's very precise. So like Rowdy says, when you get shot in a certain area, you'll feel it in that location, but it's like a rumble, like you would with a rumble controller. But with the sub pack, it basically uses audio from the game and uses two big tactile transducers, which are like subwoofers on your back. So you get a lot of feedback, very intense feedback, very powerful, but it's just running from the game audio alone. So you can't implement it to just make that rumble or impact when something's happening in game like you can with the B-Haptics vest. That's very precise. So that's the big difference between the two.
Actually, the B-Haptics vest can pretty much do what a sub pack can do. It's a haptic plus sub pack suit in one, I would say.
Yeah,
but it's not that intense as a sub pack with a bass, because there is no real bass in there.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd imagine the sub pack would be more powerful.
Yeah,
but you get the precise feeling with the B-Haptics. So it's it depends what you want out of which one, basically. But yeah, what about you then, Nathie? What did you play this week, and what was your highlight?
Yeah, so again, right now, the releases that are coming out it's okay. It's still a bit silent on Steam and Oculus Home and everywhere else. Angry Birds was the big one this week, I would say. Everyone knows Angry Birds. and it's a good title. It's what you expect, right? If you played the mobile version, it's the same in VR. The only difference is that you can, since it's a 3D world, you can teleport to different locations and pick angles to strike. Plus, you can use your play space, and it feels more alive in a way, I would say. And funny enough, I also played that with a haptic suit. So you can feel
how does that work? You feel the pigs hitting you now.
No. But when you hit like the constructions, you feel the impact.
The rumble.
You feel the explosions happen. But Angry Birds does not officially support a haptic vest, but you can use a program like the Subpack does, where it's just grabbing the audio and it just vibrates. It's a bit random, but it does the trick. But yeah, Angry Birds, solid title. I don't really have much else to say about it. I know you played it, Mike, but it's just Angry Birds in VR, and maybe there could have been more. Because like the world you are in, for example, is static. It doesn't really move. Let's say there are no. If I would be a developer, I came up with like weather conditions where you're on this island and suddenly it starts to rain, or it's getting windy and you have to work with that, or there are like seagulls trying to block your view, or things like that. But in the end, it's really about you using a slingshot, shooting the construction, and try to score those 3 stars.
I saw some videos of people playing it. I didn't play it myself, but I was kind of surprised like that they only went for like more like the standard game. I mean, they have 50 levels, right? So I can't have seen all of them. But I know that because I played like a ton of Angry Birds, during my times on the toilet. So I was wondering, like, don't they have like more like space levels or underwater levels or these kind of things? Like, is that in the game at all?
This is like the OG Angry Birds.
The original,
game.
Yeah, a bit like what Nathie said. They played it very safe with this one. I completed it actually. I finished it in just over an hour. It does have a weird difficulty spike about end of the second world. It does have like 4 worlds, but they don't really play around with the physics or anything like that like they did with the original game, like in space and these things.
Yes.
You do get access to different birds later on, but they're the same birds from the original game. But what kind of frustrated or disappointed me in a way was that they didn't try anything new or exciting, and plus like it doesn't really reward you for getting the 3 stars in every level, so you don't have any achievements in the Steam, you don't have any reward system. And this wasn't the first Angry Birds game we had in VR. Like there was another one called VR Furballs that was actually way before this one, and they do a lot more interesting stuff with the mechanics and level design. So if you're a fan of the series, maybe go and check out that one as well. It's well worth checking out. But it's more like, I would say, a family game. It's great for sort of swapping between like a family, letting the kids get involved, and it's that kind of easy, accessible game for them.
And the price tag they put on it also is just it's balanced. It makes sense for what you play. I do feel like they could have done more with, let's say, there is a storyline, but you got to just read it on Steam to find out. But when you play it, you're not in a cutscene or anything. And I thought that was a shame. They could have really done more than just you shooting with the slingshot, and there is nothing going on in between the levels. And as you said, I tried to get all the stars like in the game. And because I know from the first Angry Birds game, it was very important to get all the stars, because otherwise you couldn't unlock the next world. But in this case, it's so arcadey that you don't even have to do that. So you can just like score 1 star and still move on. I thought they could have spiced it up, maybe in the menu with some settings there, and just go for a family-friendly mode, and then one where it's more spicy. And the best thing I found out while I was playing this is that Angry Birds VR has no restrictions, no boundaries. So you can go wherever you want. You could stand in front of all those constructions and shoot from up close, and the game doesn't even punish you for that. Because I think that when they made this game, they thought that people were only going to do it like standing.
Oh,
but if you have a room skill area, You can just go wherever you want. It's so odd. I was like, why don't you just block it off? They don't. It's so odd. So yeah, as you said, it's a family-friendly title in where you can also cheat if you want. I do not support cheating, but I had to try it for science, and it does work.
Yeah.
The heck.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you said. Totally. I'd love to know what everyone's been playing in the chat as well. So I'll
we
quickly
have one.
Okay, go
we
for it.
Have one comment. So Watauk, our loyal, one of our loyal listeners and viewers, said that he played Gorn, Overload in VR, and Assassin's Creed flat version. Rest of the time was spent turning my Oculus home into a man cave.
Nice. Yeah.
I always like that.
Nice. Yeah. Importing models is a lot of fun, especially when you get into it. Yeah, like you said, Rowdy, I think last week or the week before, when you get into that rhythm of finding a nice model, importing it, scaling it down, testing it, and then getting it in there and looking right, it's really satisfying.
I've seen you started doing that as well, yeah. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
So after last week's show, I got a DeLorean in there now, and I got, I couldn't get Ed 209 because there isn't a good site that sells one, like a good version of him.
Okay.
So I got another mech robot that looks kind of similar and had him in the middle of the home.
Have you seen mine by now? Have you seen it?
I have, yeah. I saw your little video clip, so I saw all the references in there. You've got a mashup of all sorts of stuff in there. It's
everything
nice.
is in there.
I am still really tempting to share my first design of my room before it officially disappears.
The man, the bald-headed man one. Oh yeah, you should keep that. You can have multiple rooms.
You can. So I can,
you can.
I can save it up. I should.
Save that one. It's a living nightmare. You should visit it for sure.
Yeah. Did anyone ever? I'm not sure. Maybe I locked it, but I should open it up so people can go in there. I
did a little clip of it once.
It's a living museum. Oh yeah, you did, and you also made
a
video about it, exposing me.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Great.
Exposing you.
So this week I played quite a bit in VR, but the one I want to talk about that was really my highlight, I think, was EmuVR, which is basically a retro gaming emulator for virtual reality. And basically you have an 80s style bedroom that you can decorate with posters, you can change the bed sheets, you can do all sorts of stuff to customize it the way you want it to look. And then you can have retro consoles in there that are basically emulators for games that you can download. You can find yourself. But basically it has retro consoles like the PlayStation, the NES or Nintendo Entertainment System, the SNES or Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the Genesis, Mega Drive, N64, the whole works. You can even play videos in there like a retro VHS player. And I've tried something like this before. There was one called New Retro Arcade Neon. And basically you had an arcade and you could customize all the cabinets for your arcade games. But I found that quite complex, and in the end I ditched that project. So but this was super easy. Messing around with EmuVR was super simple. And basically once you got it all up and running, it's very easy to use. And I was sitting in my office here on the floor with my controllers in my hand, just like I was as a kid, sitting in front of a big CRT screen. And I was playing Mario Brothers and Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation, and the mechanics, the way they've designed the consoles to look exactly like the original consoles do. And with the PlayStation, you press the open button, you put a disc in, you close the lid, you press the power, and then you get that iconic opening screen, with the Sony logo. It's very, very cool and very immersive. And I spent hours in there just playing games. It was a very cool experience. And right now, this EmuVR is completely free. You can download it yourself if you go to EmuVR website and then email the developer for an invite to their Discord, and then in the Discord there's a download link. And it's a single developer that's made this, by the way, so I was really impressed with what they've done so far. There's still some work to be done. If you enjoy it, then you should really support them via Patreon and sort of,
I think it makes sense to support them that way, because I don't think they can really monetize this stuff anyway. So maybe supporting them if you enjoy what you play, then I would totally do that.
Yeah, but it's very, very cool, and it's kind of one of those things that you could easily get lost playing these retro games in that kind of little bubble world that you've created. And then even when it gets dark, you can put little stars on the ceiling that glow.
I saw that. Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome.
That's classic.
Yeah. That's what makes VR often so cool. It's just that attention to detail, because it makes it feel like a breathing, living world.
Yeah, absolutely,
like that.
absolutely.
So,
Definitely one I like break.
let us know in the comments in the chat what what classic game you would play first in VR on that tiny screen sitting on the floor.
What platforms that they all have now? It was like that they also have, for example, on Xbox.
No, so
it's
the
more
more
retro.
modern day consoles.
Yeah,
I think the PlayStation was the most latest one.
Yeah,
I know people would be interested in like Dreamcast and stuff like that, but there is an emulator you can use in VR called Dolphin VR that does Dreamcast, I think. But or is it just Nintendo Wii? I can't really remember.
It's just like legal stuff is getting in the way after a while. If you go too much into it, then the old school stuff, really old school, is usually fine, but I know that a lot of those emulator websites from the past have been all they disappeared because So
really by rights you should own the game as well before you start downloading these ROMs, as a disclaimer out there. But yeah, it's a kind of it's a grey area, but can be a lot of fun once you sort of delve into that sort of world. Definitely, yeah. So let's move into some quick news then. And first up, we've got some really cool news that's definitely going to keep the VR racers out there happy. And that's because this week we got some great news from Oculus and Codemasters stating that Dirt Rally 2.0 will be getting VR support. And this is really cool because the game actually releases the end of this month. For those listening on catch-up, maybe it's February 2019. However, getting VR support will be added around summertime. And this is really good because originally they stated, the developers, Codemasters of Dirt Rally, said that this wasn't going to get VR support at all. And they were only going to consider it if they got, feedback from the community saying that they wanted it. And thankfully, there was a really big kickback from the VR racing community, as Dirt, having just tried it this week for the first time with a full racing wheel and pedals and gear shifter and everything in VR. It's an amazing experience and definitely one of my favorite sort of experiences when it comes to being really immersed and terrified in a VR game, because it is quite scary. You really don't want to crash when you're flying down those stages in Dirt. But I was really, really happy to hear that they're going to finally implement it, because a lot of people out there that are really dedicated sim racers, they maybe had 3 monitor setups previously, and they've kind of ditched those for a VR headset, whether it be a Rift or a Vive or a Windows MR, because it's just so much more immersive. And there was a petition on change.org that had over 5,000 signatures from dedicated fans saying, we want VR support in Dirt Rally 2.0. And it just happened yesterday that Oculus announced it alongside Codemasters, that they're going to be adding it in the summer. And it does seem, though, that Oculus pushed this, and it's kind of like a partnership deal, like the original Dirt Rally is on, the Oculus store, that it seems that Oculus maybe are funding the VR development side of the game.
It's a very smart thing to do on both sides.
Yeah.
They made a quick deal then within a week.
It must have been going on behind the scenes for a while, I think.
I feel like there was more.
Yeah, definitely. Because this game was announced maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, but they told people back then it wasn't going to get VR support. But yeah, maybe Oculus have been working on that deal behind the scenes, but maybe it means that this game is going to be exclusive to Oculus for a little while before it comes to Steam with VR support. Obviously, you can use Revive and stuff like that, but it will likely be on the Oculus Store first, I think.
It is, again, though, very good news for virtual reality, because I think this is like maybe one of the best and most popular racing series out there. So, impressive.
Yeah, so congrats to you all out there that voiced your opinions. If you got involved and did the sort of petition, then congrats to you. And nice work to the devs as well for listening to the feedback and trying to work out a way to get it fixed in the end, which they did. So hopefully see you all on the rally stages this summer. So some awesome news there. I've also got some really funny news this week about SteamVR, because they had to push an update to SteamVR to update the lighthouses. So if you use a Vive or a Pimax, you'll know what the lighthouses are. They're basically the tracking system for your headset. But basically, it's because Beat Saber players were exceeding the lighthouse tracking capabilities by moving so fast, playing Expert Plus mode on PC.
It's hilarious.
Absolutely mind-blowing. So Upload VR did an article about it and got in touch with a guy called Ben Jackson, who is working at Valve. And he basically said, the tracking system has internal sanity checks to identify when things go wrong. One of these checks relates to how fast we thought it was physically possible for someone to turn their wrist. It turns out that a properly motivated human using a light enough controller could go faster than we thought, which is 3,600 degrees per second in rotation. So it's amazing that, yeah, it's amazing. It's like VR and Beat Saber are pushing humanity to the next evolution of speed for our species. They're breaking the boundaries. So well done to you guys and girls out there that have been doing that.
It's interesting what kind of data comes in at the Valve office right now on Beat Saber, what people do and how they behave.
They're actually working on like a military contract for the next generation of superhumans, all trained in virtual reality.
Yeah, they'll become fighter pilots because they can see things so quickly, and analyze them and move.
I think with all those movements, you could even like power a hover dam, maybe.
Soon they're gonna
generating enough electricity.
Yes,
they're gonna start a Jedi Academy for sure.
Yeah, they should. While we're talking about Expert Plus mode in Beat Saber as well, it's also available on PSVR this week. Just dropped. So if you've got a PSVR, you'll be happy if you're like an elite Beat Saber player as well. But we've also got some news for Oculus Go owners, because last week we said about the recording function added audio to recordings on the Go. We were all really happy about this, and Nathie and I both tested it out this week. But sadly, it seems that the recording capabilities on Go are completely broken with this new update. That's right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it does add audio, which is great. You can watch these recorded clips in VR using the headset, and it works fine. But when you try and transfer them to PC, the file's completely messed up, and you can't open it with any program. So
yes.
Oculus are aware of this, and they're going to be looking to push a fix soon. So if you're affected by this, you're a content creator, don't worry, there is a fix coming. And hopefully it will include all the audio that we've wanted. So it will make life for us very easy in the future, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But whilst we're on the subject of Oculus, there was an update to Oculus Rooms, which added board game Monopoly Deal to Oculus Rooms, which is really cool. And I Oculus Rooms still is one of my favorite experiences in VR. Hanging out in that environment, playing board games, and just chatting while you're playing board games feels so natural, and that sense of like presence with your friends is really, really awesome. And the audio quality is great as well, which really makes it
great. As I said, like yesterday when we were playing this new Monopoly board game in the Oculus in Oculus Rooms, I said like this is way better than all the experiences I had so far socially on Oculus Home with my Rift.
Yep.
It just blows it out of water straight away. Even after the Oculus Home update, where you can customize and meet your friends, there's nothing else you can really do besides shooting your laser guns and do some basketball. But every time you go into Oculus Rooms, it's like bring those board games to Oculus Home. Start with that, and then improve from there. It's been like a year or longer that this Oculus Go came out, and Oculus Home is still. They promised this friend system from the start when the Oculus Rift CV1 launched, and they still haven't delivered on that, I would say. I cannot even when I, for example, see Mike in my Oculus friend list, I can't even send him a message. I can't do anything at all. It's only accept your friends and then maybe join a party, but it's so basic. There's a lot of work that can be done.
Yeah,
and
but bringing board games,
Oculus Rooms, that's all you have to do.
Bringing board games to Oculus Home
would be already a great start.
Yeah, especially now they've got like the Hasbro games like Boggle and now this Monopoly game.
Yeah.
But it does seem like the departments within Oculus that work on these things are separate. So you have a team that works on the Oculus Go and you have a team that works on Rift, and they're very separate, I think. But they could definitely learn a lot from each other.
Each other sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. But I was excited about this Monopoly game because I've been asking for Monopoly in Oculus Rooms forever. It's not full Monopoly. It's called Monopoly Deal. It's basically a stripped down version of the game using cards, but it's a lot of fun. I played it with bots, but I also invited everyone over to check it out. So I invited Nathie over, I invited Rowdy over, and also Megan from my community Discord. She's a moderator there. Invited her over as well, and we're going to hang out, just chat and play Monopoly Deal on the Goes. And unfortunately, we will have. Well, no, let's get to that. Rowdy is a very sore loser, by the way. Can we just highlight that for a start? But it's funny because we were trying to play this, but we got about 20 minutes to 30 minutes into our session, and 3 of the 4 of us had our Go's completely overheat, so they couldn't continue to play anymore. And this was a big problem, right? This is a big problem for Oculus Go.
Yeah, because we couldn't play the game.
Doesn't match with the battery, basically. Or is it the
Yeah.
other way around? I don't even know, but...
Well, this overheating, like when it happens, many people may have not experienced it before, but basically you get a warning pop up in the headset saying your Go's overheating, you need to stop playing, basically. And this is all due to the heat dissipation system that the Go uses, because instead of using an active cooling system like a fan in it to keep the noise down and the weight down,
Passive,
they basically have a heat pipe that goes to the very front, and the whole front plate of the Go is like a heat sink, so it dissipates the heat through the front. But the problem is, it obviously isn't doing a good enough job to prevent it from overheating in social applications. And we've had this before in Oculus rooms, but we've also had users report this in using big screen as well, especially when you've got other people involved and you're using the chat function.
And it's not that we were doing anything special now. We weren't recording, we weren't charging. It was just regular gameplay that we were doing, and still the headset actually overheated after about 20 minutes. Leaving us unable to continue.
I think in the end that's the Oculus Go, its like weakest point. I also heard from people that were watching Netflix and can't even finish their series because it's overheating. So yeah, the battery length or until the battery is so hot that it's like okay, let's stop, is sometimes it depends. Sometimes you're super lucky. In my case, when I played VR desktop, it was getting so hot that it just stopped working.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's kind of cold here in the UK. It's cold in Europe as well.
Yeah,
you would have thought the conditions were ideal for something like this, but in the heat of summer, I can kind of understand, and I can kind of say, I get it. But it's kind of a bit of a shame. They released this amazing game that promotes being social with each other, but then you can't physically do it because you have problems. Like I said, it was 3 out of 4.
You need to go and sit in your freezer.
Maybe a new product, the Go and Chill. So that's like the Vive and Chill, but then the next. Yeah. I mean, some company could come up with something. I think.
Yeah, well, Palmer Luckey modified his Oculus Go to add a fan to his, and I've been looking at ways of doing that, but it looks a bit more complicated than I originally thought.
Send it over to him. Let him do it.
Yeah, sort it out, Palmer.
Yeah.
Show me the way.
I got him on Twitter. I'll send him a DM.
Yeah. So yeah, that's some quick news this week. So what we're going to do now is we're going to quickly run an ad. We wanted to just try this as an experiment on the platform because obviously we stream this on YouTube and they've given us the ability to do an ad. So we just want to do an experiment. So this may not happen in future episodes of the show, but we just want to kind of run it as an experiment. So just see how that goes. And then we're going to hand over to Rowdy for this week's releases. So I would say just go straight for it, dude.
Yeah, right now? Oh, okay. So for the releases this week, there's not been that much. I mean, we've already talked about Angry Birds, so that is one of the titles that is indeed now available. The description reads there: join Red Chuck Bomb and the Blues to save the stolen eggs in Angry Birds VR Isle of Pigs, which is an immersive virtual reality adventure. I think we all know Angry Birds. I have a trailer for it ready, but I don't think I'm going to show it because everyone knows how it looks. $14.99 Angry Birds. If you like shooting them, then go and check it out.
So you just gonna pass on this one completely, Rowdy, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna play it. Like, I mean,
imagine a person holding a slingshot, shooting it. There's like a bird flying at a construction. Boom! And you get points and stars. Satisfaction. And you want to progress to the next level. But then that one is so hard that you can't, and that's it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Did you ever play Pebbles?
I have not. I also think it's just not really like my kind of game, like that I like to play in virtual reality. I mean, maybe I would still play it just to test it out or do like a 1 episode on the channel just for fun. But it's not the kind of game that I would, for example, turn on just to like be like, oh, let's have some fun. Like, I don't know. This is the kind of game that I play on the toilet. That's just how it is. Like when I'm bored at work and I need to go to the toilet, I play that.
Fair enough.
Okay. TMI. All right, moving on. Next up, we got Intruders Hide and Seek. I don't know if a lot of people actually heard about that game. It's coming out for the PlayStation VR. I think we showed one time a trailer on an episode, right?
Maybe.
Am I correct? During like quick news. I got a trailer for that ready, but that game, in my opinion, looks really amazing. It's coming out the 13th of February. Let me just find a trailer for you so I can put it on there as well.
For the eyes.
It kind of reminds me of that Jodie Foster movie, you know, like a Panic Room.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Yeah, it's basically Home Alone with a horror twist, right? That's how you would have to describe it. Wait, I'm going to turn the trailer on. There we go. So the description reads: Intruders Hide and Seek is a first-person stealth game, an intense thriller combining intense psychological terror with the point of view of a defenseless boy. And I also found that in 2016 that they won the Fun and Serious Award from the Best University Project of the Year, the PlayStation Talent's Best Game for the Press Award, and the PlayStation Talent's Best Game of the Year Award. And in 2017, it won the Gaming Best Pitch Award at the SXSW 2017 festival. So I think
awesome.
it's right to be a little bit hyped about this kind of product. Of course, I haven't played it. I don't know if it's actually amazing, but I like the concept of it, that you're actually not able to do anything and you only need to get into the game and like try to like make sure you're not found and like try. It's basically Slender Man meets Home Alone meets Resident Evil, right? That's
because like you said, you play a boy who's just completely defenseless. His house is being invaded by like intruders, and you just basically have to hide from them. Yeah, hide and seek, basically.
Now it is coming out on the 13th of February. I have not really found a price for it, but when I looked at the German Amazon store, I found that it was available for 19.99 euros. So I think it would be roughly about the $25 price mark, if that price is correct, of course. Then next up was Tetris Effect. Well, it's not coming out, but they have a free weekend trial demo that is available up until the 12th of February. I think I have the trailer for that.
It's already
as well.
out, you mean?
It's already out. It's already out, but they have a free weekend that is available up until the 12th of February. So
definitely, if you missed it the first time round, definitely jump on this demo and check it out. Tetris Effect is one of those games that you can really get sucked into that world. They have so much stuff going on around you as well while you're trying to focus on the game that it makes it very, very cool and immersive experience. A lot of people kind of have very mixed opinions about this game. For those that really played it, they really love it. For those that haven't tried it, they just go, it's just Tetris, you know. But I think you really have to experience this one, and that's why we kind of urge you to check out the demo.
Yeah. And it's not only the VR version; it's the full the full game you can play just regularly as well. So there's really no reason not to just give it a try. So yeah, pretty amazing. And then another title that I found, I think we talked about this a little while ago as well. It's Eden Tomorrow, but I think we highlighted it during Quick News, if you guys remember. This game is actually coming out apparently on the 12th of February. I didn't first find a link. I only found like a link from Upload that was saying that it was releasing on the 12th of February. But they actually released a trailer about a few days ago. That was actually, it looked pretty amazing again. And there they indeed state that it's going to be released on the 12th of February. And this is a game that is developed exclusively for the PlayStation VR. It is a story-driven sci-fi action adventure. Imagine you crash land on an unknown planet, a completely different world. You also have amnesia, like just for old time's sake. And you don't know where you are, you don't know who you are, and your only companion is a talking drone. Welcome to Eden Tomorrow. That is their tagline. I am quite excited about this one as well. It looks like a very polished title just in general.
Yeah, and there's a free demo for that one as well available on the PSN. So if you're interested, you can go and check that out and maybe buy the full game if you like it. So
yeah,
we're definitely getting. When we talked about it before, we were getting Robinson the Journey vibes from this one.
Yeah, exactly. Mostly because of the little robot that we had like flying around. Like it looked pretty much the same as the one for Robinson the Journey. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool week to be a PSVR owner for sure.
Cool week, cool year, cool like 2-3 years almost. My days.
But there's still many people out there that dismiss the PSVR. But then again, they're mostly people that have never tried it, I would say.
That's incomprehensible.
No. Not just only people who never played VR. I've seen so many PCVR owners saying like, oh yeah, I'm sure they do great stuff, but their community is super small and they can come back when they are more, respected. They have no clue. Some people have no clue how big PSVR is.
It's huge.
It's massive. guys.
Yeah.
Seriously, I think they are on top of the ladder.
Yeah,
For sure, right now, for sure, without doubt.
In
They've got
terms
the
of
highest number of
releases,
sales.
in terms of sales, in terms of pretty much everything that has to do with virtual reality, every major title is on that platform, pretty much. So
plus, they have a very cool guy, Shuhai, who's also promoting VR in such a nice way. I think most companies like Oculus and Vive, and they have not their own Palmer Luckey anymore. So maybe Vive has Elvin Graylin. I think he's kind of like a nice guy and does cool stuff. But overall, it's not like there is someone you're like, oh yeah, that's the guy from.
Yeah. I don't know when we talked about this. I think we talked about it just casually when we met up last week sometime. We were talking about this, that the Oculus don't really seem to have like a front man,
No.
like Nintendo have Reggie, Sony, like you say, as Shuhai. You got these like big iconic characters that are at the front of it and dishing out all the news, and they're the kind of person you trust to give you all the latest information from that company. But Oculus doesn't seem to have that really. It doesn't seem to have that person that really represents them and gets up and sort of says this is what it's all about and gives like sort of weekly updates.
Like a community manager in a way.
Kind of,
guy.
Yeah, it doesn't really have that. But it would do well to have someone like that, I think.
So, yeah.
And while we're talking about Oculus, we might as well talk about one of our first main topics this week, and that's Asgard's Wrath.
Yes.
Because last week on the show, we were talking about this mysterious door that appeared in some people's inventory in Oculus Home. You could put the door up there. Many of us, including myself, were trying to open this thing thinking it was like a portal to Narnia or something.
We were way too excited.
Yeah, we were. They got us triggered. Yeah, mission accomplished. But it was just a tease from Oculus and Sanzaru Games about an upcoming title that they were working on together. And we found out that this week that title is called Asgard's Wrath. And we've got some information to share about the game, as it seems to be way much more than just an average VR brawler, which it might appear to be on the surface of the trailer.
Yeah.
But there's definitely more to this game, and I've got the information to share with you. So Asgard's Wrath is going to be a Norse-inspired action-adventure with RPG elements that has over 30 hours of gameplay. And the game kind of like anchors itself in visceral, physics-leveraged combat mechanics that really reward player skill and encourages physical movement and sort of getting involved. So you won't be able to just wave your controller around like a feather duster like you have in the past and successfully like slice through just hordes of enemies. You're going to actually have to learn how to fight properly in this game and move around your play space and become good at like parrying and countering attacks and effectively working with melee weapons and shields.
Which
that's going to be your...
in a way makes sense because Valve is soon gonna have their Jedi Academy, so they need to bring something to the table as well to make sure that they can beat the Jedis from Valve. So
exactly, but it seems like they've done a good job because this is really aimed at mature audiences, which is welcome since it's more mature players that are owning VR headsets right now. And it's sort of like a very stark contrast to their previous game, Marvel Powers United. That game was more arena-based. It was very sort of casual gameplay, even though it had some advanced movement mechanics. But this is going on the opposite side. It's a big adventure. It's got really visceral and violent combat mechanics that have got a lot of blood and gore and look really satisfying with like dismemberment. So you can actually chop enemies' heads off and arms off and limbs off and stuff. It looks really cool. But also it's got this kind of story to it and other elements. So I'll talk more about that now because throughout the course of the story, you unlock mortal heroes. And once you've unlocked them, you can actually play as them. And it seems that these mortal heroes will have unique abilities that are unique to each character. And some will have abilities that you can use to go back to previously completed areas to unlock new areas within those to explore them more and earn rewards through exploration. And they're really sort of pushing that if you explore in this game, you'll be rewarded for it, which is really cool. And that's where the RPG elements come in, I think. But also you'll be able to swap between being a mortal character on the ground and fighting like melee fighting with a larger than life god type character that is huge, way bigger than the mortal character, and you can interact with the world and work together with your mortal character to help sort of solve puzzles, overcome challenges, and sort of advance through that world. And although in the trailer it's not really conveyed, they've really highlighted the fact that this isn't an arena brawler. This is going to have progression and actual levels.
Because that was my first impression as well. Like, is this going to be like an arena brawler? When you watch a trailer, you would get that impression a little bit, especially because you could see like the delineations of the arena in every fight scene. But I specifically asked that, is it going to be like a brawler? Is it going to be like more free in the open? But it's really not only a brawler, and I'm actually really excited about the title like this coming to the Oculus. I just find it weird to see like how far like Oculus has progressed, coming from like, oh yeah, we're like seated only, coming to something like this, like, or standing only. I find that like it's a huge leap forward that they try to remove those shackles of like, people have been asking for experiences like this for such a long time. Let's go and give this one a shot as well, because
they definitely became more loose than they were before.
Used to be. Yeah.
And if I look at the trailer, this trailer is way better than the Marvel one. Also gameplay wise, the gameplay you see, it's easier to see what's going on. The Marvel trailer, like the animations were great, but the moment you went to the gameplay, it was like so zoomed in, and it was like, what's going on? But this looks way better. I'm going to hold off my opinion for now. I want to see some gameplay first.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think this would be a good moment for Sanzaru to prove themselves, to show that they not only make a Marvel Powers United title for the arcade players, but also something that is more accurate, more like a simulation, and moving away from that arcade gameplay.
Although I have to say, Lo, it seems like they took like the good parts from Marvel Powers United, which I think were like the character design and the way that they put like the different powers, and every character had its unique kind of abilities, that they kind of implement that part in here as well. As you can see, like in the trailer as well, they have like different characters, different powers, different a ranger, you have a mage, you have like a fighter, those kind of things. And I do find that good, because you get different kind of play styles. You get much more out of a game by just playing different kind of characters. So yeah, I think that's
the key to the different characters, what they've said is that they're not going to be available like a roster at the beginning. You get to choose your character. You have to work to unlock these characters, which is great, I think. But also, while you're a god character, while you're sort of like the larger than life character, you're going to be able to capture and convert animal sidekicks and have them as allies as the mortal player. And these animal sidekicks, you can give them high fives. You can play catch with them with enemies' heads, which is really cool. And I guess they'll also help you in battle, which is a neat little feature. But something else that's kind of an unusual feature of this game that also really sort of piqued my interest is asynchronous multiplayer. So how this works is that as you journey through the game on your own, playing with your little animal sidekicks, sometimes you're going to get killed because some of these enemies are going to be really brutal and difficult to defeat. And when that happens, it'll be game over, but there will be a little marker placed where you died. And then when other players get to that point within their game, they'll come across that marker and they'll have a choice. They can either fight and the enemy that defeated you, or they can pass it on. But if they fight it and they win successfully, then your fallen soul will be granted passage to Valhalla, and then you'll unlock unique rewards that are only available for doing those kind of missions, which seems really cool. It's kind of a bit like Dark Souls. I don't know if you ever played that.
I was thinking it's a bit like you played Shadow of Mordor as well, right, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, like, because I saved you a couple of times in that game. Like I found like places where you like died, and I could avenge your death there, which is a really cool concept, because it's multiplayer in a very original way, I think. So
yeah, definitely. And I think it's cool. I think I'm really excited about this one. It's definitely one that is sort of going to be added to the roster of exciting upcoming Oculus games, alongside Defector, Stormland, and the title from Respawn that we still don't know much more about right now. But it's going to be coming out in 2019. It shows right now on the store. It's going to be available in July, but apparently, according to the developers' Discord, that is a typo. So we don't have any fixed date just yet. It is going to be playable at GDC. So if you're going, and you get hands-on with it, then we'd love to know what you think of this game, for sure.
So we might see some gameplay coming from there.
Yeah, just like when they did a little pop-up with PAX and Stormland, they allowed sort of people to play the game and record it and stream it. So hopefully we'll get more gameplay from GDC, which is in March.
Just be sure to hide the mouse cursor.
Yes. Yes, pro tip. But yeah, I'm excited about this one. What do people in the chat think about Asgard's Wrath? Are they excited about this one?
Well, someone says, I want rubber weapons like Garn.
Oh.
And then another comment, Minotaur wants a high five.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they loosely called out Blade and Sorcery in the Oculus blog article, so the physics should hopefully be as good or better. And someone says that the character, the girl, looks like Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. But no, I'm looking forward to this one. I think it looks very cool. Definitely looking forward to skill-based combat.
Yeah,
I think that's the most exciting thing for me. Yeah.
Not sleep-based.
Yeah. So yeah, that is Asgard's Wrath coming in 2019. So let's talk about another headset. As if we haven't talked about enough VR headsets this year so far already.
Another
one. I think in 2019 we're going to be spoiled when it comes to VR headsets. It's going to be an interesting year for sure for VR, I think. But this new headset from HP is what they're bringing to the table as their second iteration of their Windows mixed reality headset. You know, they've already made one already. I think it was called the Explorer, the HP Explorer, their previous one. But again, it's going to be on the Windows mixed reality platform, which means that it's going to feature inside-out tracking, and it's going to be very easy to use and easy to set up and very accessible to people that just, want to casually play the occasional game, get in and out of VR really quickly, not have the hassle of setting up sensors or lighthouses or base stations or whatever. And the thing is, initially I wasn't a big fan of the Windows MR platform. I bought a Dell. I wasn't very happy with it. It
took
didn't
a week or two.
Yeah, it didn't have Steam support back then. And, since trying it when I visited you, Nathie, and Papa Voodoo showed us his Samsung Odyssey Plus, and, it's apparent that they've made huge improvements to the Windows mixed reality platform. It's way more legit now.
Yeah. I remember us talking about first this name being confusing and all those headsets, what are these and what's their goal? And now it's way more clear where they are in the market, and they are here to stay as well. I see so many mixed reality headsets.
Yeah, I still think the Odyssey Plus is my favorite. It's got built-in Bluetooth, which makes a huge difference. So you don't have to mess around with a Bluetooth dongle anymore. Yeah. And also the screen resolution being OLED panels, very, very vibrant display, and built-in audio as well, which is great. So
inside-out tracking is the best.
It's great. It works really well. Again, you shouldn't dismiss it. Even though I did previously, I'm a believer now in Windows MR.
Great.
But this new headset from HP is codenamed Copper. The pictures and renders you might have seen show it as all white. That's just a render. They haven't released the color of it or what material they're going to use on it yet. Could be pink, could be black, could be blue. We just don't know yet.
Glitter.
But it looks very similar to an Oculus Rift in that the head strap has Velcro fasteners at the sides and built-in headphones, and obviously has the two inside-out tracking cameras at the very front.
A bit more curved,
A little bit curved as well, a bit like the Odyssey. Yeah, it looks kind of nice. Road to VR actually got hands-on with this device at the HP headquarters, and they were able to compare it side by side with their Odyssey Plus. And if we compare the specs, the Samsung Odyssey Plus has an OLED panel, like I said, but the resolution of that panel is 1440 by 1600 per eye. Now, this new HP Copper headset features an LCD panel, but with a resolution of 2160 by 2160 per eye. So almost double the resolution of the Odyssey Plus, which is also is a fantastic headset right now. So it's going to be even better. It's going to use Fresnel lenses, as we know with the Rift and the Vive currently. The field of view is going to be the same as what we know and love right now, with 100 to 110 degrees. With HP stating that their feedback from their customers and consumers saying that they want higher resolution rather than field of view right now. So they're going with what their customers are saying, and that's what they're delivering in this headset, it seems.
Awesome.
I wonder who their customers are then.
Well, I think they've got a lot of business customers as well, because this is going to be releasing for consumers and enterprise. They've got a lot of enterprise packages for businesses, because obviously Windows MR is very accessible, very easy to use. Has that flip up as well, which is nice for some business users. But we don't know if that's going to be incorporated in this headset yet. But all we know is that it's likely going to be releasing pretty soon, I'd imagine, if they've been testing it out already and showing off these leaked renders of the headset. So
Yeah.
Exciting.
We've got that to look forward to. Another headset to add to the collection. I think we're going to need more space, Nathie, if we're going to collect them all like the Pokemon.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So now let's talk to Nathie about his adventures in China, because you spent some time out there. We talked last week's show about you visiting Pimax headquarters and the factory there. We got to learn a bit behind the scenes of Pimax and what it's like.
Yeah, we left it on a cliffhanger, right?
Yeah, we left you on a cliffhanger because this is where the really juicy stuff comes in, because you visited HTC as well. Yes. And you also went to one of the world's first VR theme parks.
Yeah, the biggest one out there, actually.
The biggest one.
So where do we want to start? Do we want to start with Vive, or do we want to start with a VR theme park?
Well, warm us up with HTC and then give us the good stuff with
Dang it, I just changed the title to the theme park.
Sorry.
Dang it. Sorry, Rowdy. Happens. Okay, so I visited the office of Vive in China in Beijing, and they have more offices. It's not their only one, but it is one of the biggest ones. And so I spoke to Graylin, the president of Vive.
Oh, you met him there?
No, he wasn't there. He was in America, but he did wanted to meet me. He actually wanted to tour me around instead of one of the other employees, but they did a great job at it too. So is Mike still alive, by the way?
Oh, I think my
he looks a little
my Skype just crashed.
Confused. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine though.
Skype.
Yeah.
It looks pretty. So.
Oh, there he is again.
We're back.
Again. We got it. Nice. Yeah. Okay, so so I went to the HTC Vive office, and they before they gave me a tour, I went into a meeting room where they gave me a presentation on what products they sell, like the Vive Pro, the Vive Focus is a development kit, so it's not out yet. Also, of course, the Vive Vanilla, the Vive Pro I, and the Vive Cosmos coming out soon. So they showed me stats of how well they are selling all of these headsets, and they showed some trailers and just kind of summing up what their mission is in the VR industry and what they do. It was quite interesting. I didn't expect that was going to happen, because at Pimax it was a total different. Like, every company has their own approach of inviting someone, and then so I think it was super professional, really nice. And I got to give some feedback on what I think of their products and how they are getting sold. We had a very solid discussion about the Vive Pro being that one headset most consumers got confused about, because a lot of people thought that the Vive Pro was for consumers or prosumers or in the end, I found out that the marketing strategy they used for the Vive Pro was the Chinese strategy, and they used that in Europe and in the US, and that's why it was a bit confusing in the end. They really appreciated the feedback, and I think they really got what I was talking about, and I don't think everyone is sometimes brave enough to give some feedback. I'm sure that, let's say if you would be a smaller content creator and you get invited by Oculus or HTC, that you're like, okay, I'm gonna play it cool. I'm not gonna say anything that's kind of out of my safe zone. But I'm really a guy who likes to give constructive feedback and let them know what they can improve. We had some good tradings there.
Just to touch on that quickly, because I think the biggest issue with the marketing with the Vive Pro in particular was that they marketed it as a enterprise headset, but in all their trailers,
Exactly.
they showed off gaming.
Yes.
Right. I think that's the point that you were making, right?
Yeah. Thanks for adding that. Yeah, that was exactly the thing that happened. Well, for them, that's the way they market towards these enterprises. Let's say it's a pretty hipster way of doing it, but apparently that's what enterprises are, going for, in a way. So yeah, then I got the tour at HTC. They let me try all kinds of stuff. I got to try the Vive Focus with that 6DoF upgrade kit, so you can play with controllers. Funny enough, the controllers I used are very similar to the ones from the Vive Cosmos.
Yes.
So, and I also said that, but of course I had no comment on that.
So you didn't get to try the Cosmos then, or get to touch it?
No, I didn't. Because I mean, right now it's still in development. So they did tell me that they're also working on hand tracking.
Okay.
They do some AI stuff, but that's all I can say. But they did say they were working on that, and that's kind of cool because that means there's more going on than just them making headsets or. But the people that worked there were super nice, and most people weren't in the office because it was right before the Chinese New Year, so it was quite empty. But yeah, you could really see that most of the space that they use in the office is for the Vive X program, for their investment program. Yep. So if you are a developer from the US, from Europe, from China, you can get money from HTC to develop your your own experience, your game, and that can be healthcare, tourism, educational stuff, everything. So if HTC sees the value in what you do, you could get an investment from them. So I could really see that was a big part of their operation. And I also went to Vive Studios, and funny enough, like Vive Studios made the Ready Player One experience. And when you think of Vive Studios, you don't really know what that even means. What is Vive Studios? And then I went in there and I was like so surprised, like, oh, so this is Vive Studios. There were like around, I don't know, like 6 to 8 people working in that office, and they were creating content and they were also publishing content for the Vive part platform. But as I said before, like Vive part here at least in Europe and also in the US, it doesn't feel like it's extremely popular or it works that well. I do know that some people have a subscription there and they enjoy it, but overall most people use Steam and they don't go to Vive part as far as I know. But when they spoke about their platform Vive part, Vive part is super big in China, and that's what I made it for. And sometimes they just create something in China, and why not then also bring it in to the US and Europe to see if it works or not. But almost every headset in China works with the Vive platform. So let's say they have standalone HMDs there, they have mobile ones, they have PC ones, and they all run on the Vive part platform because it's the only platform in China with content from everywhere around the world. Because they told me that if they publish titles, they also work with developers from America, for example, like Polyarc Games, who brought Moss to Vive part. So the Chinese people, they really enjoy also Western titles. So they have a very big market there. And I also noticed that since Oculus has a hard time to get into China, they have the Oculus Go, right? They have their own version of that. But overall, on the PC side, they cannot penetrate the market. So Vive is on top of the food chain at the moment. Pimax is also rising up, I noticed. And of course, you got the Shadow VR, and those headsets are also really, really big there. So you see that the market there is different, and that Vive at the moment is not really competing with anyone, I feel like. It is getting, of course, it's getting spicier and spicier because, as you said, like HP now has a headset too. So, I mean, the Odyssey, they have the Odyssey there. They have all the mixed reality headsets there. So, yeah, it's quite interesting to see
how about
what
the PlayStation
from
actually?
their side. And then it makes once again more sense why Viveport is around and why it works really well there and maybe not so well here. So yeah.
And how about the PlayStation VR actually? Have you heard anything about that there, or?
I don't really know. I did see some people with a PlayStation VR, so they are getting sold for sure. I think that the PlayStation VR is super big in Japan, of course, because Sony is a Japanese company. So I don't know. Like I haven't met with anyone from Sony in China. I would of course like to know more about the console market too there. And another surprising thing that I noticed was when I was at the office, they had all the headsets there and they were not hiding them, or I was like, maybe they do, I don't know. But they were just like, oh, we use Samsung Odysseys and we use this headset and that headset. They had all the headsets laying around. And of course, it's their competition and they can learn a lot from their competition. But they were using them all. So yeah.
So I've got a quick question about the Focus, because you said you used it with the 6DoF controllers.
Yes.
What sort of experiences did you try?
So I didn't try that much. I tried a Ready Player One experience, and I also played a shooter that was like extremely popular there. It reminded me a bit of the of one of those arcade shooters when you went to an arcade and you had those two guns that you had to hold together with your friend. It was kind of like that. You were shooting a little bit and then you went to the next area. But it like was crazy popular there.
Like Time Crisis almost.
Yeah. And I was like, but this particular game would not work in our market. I was like, it's fun, but it's kind of arcadey too. I don't think people would really be impressed. But there, it was like a major hit. Right, so it's a little odd sometimes, and I also spoke to them like it's like what do people like to play, you know? And they said like, you know, they like shooters and adventurers just like us. But what they also do is when they own a headset, they also go to arcades regularly, and that's something we don't really do because honestly, if you have a headset, you're like, why would I go to an arcade? I have a headset. That's our first response, not like, oh, let's hang out with friends because it's fun. Well, over there, it's already a cultural thing to meet up and play VR there, even if you own a headset. But I think in the Chinese culture, that has always been there, you know, internet cafes and e-sport hotels, stuff like that. That's something that is big there. So I was surprised that that's really a thing. Plus, mixed reality is super popular there, more popular than here, because they do a lot of TikTok videos with mixed reality.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
That's a great combo. I never thought of that, but yeah, that's that's thing. They even had a mixed reality studio in like the office itself where they were recording things. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So yeah, that's a Vive. You know, the Vive office in a nutshell. I will be uploading a video tonight if you're curious. But yeah, super nice people, really cool. It's a shame that I didn't meet Graylin, but I'm sure I will sometimes.
Yeah. If you've got any questions, by the way, for Nathie about his visit to HTC, because we're going to be moving on about the theme park shortly, so just chuck them in the chat and maybe we'll come back to them in a little bit, unless you've got any questions right now that are obvious.
Yeah, sure. So yeah,
so let's go VR, to the juicy stuff.
Yeah, VR theme park. The biggest VR
theme park. Can I change the title now?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
go.
This is exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing about this.
Yes. So, as I said last week, I went to Nanchang, and Nanchang is the VR capital of the world, with more than 1,000 startups located there. And one of the startups is a VR theme park. And you need to kind of picture this, where you have a big building, like a big like warehouse with all kinds of neat VR simulators in there, crazy experiences. But before you enter this warehouse, there's a giant robot standing in front of that building, welcoming you, like some kind of Iron Man robot holding a big sword.
It kind of looked like a Gundam character.
Yes,
like a Gundam mech, yeah.
And that kind of welcomes you. And then there's like a big staircase with like VR on there, and yeah, it really feels like you're stepping into a different world, into a futuristic one, I would say. And the moment you enter, you first see this measurement system where you have to check if you're tall enough to ride everything. Like you would
were
in
you?
a casual? Yeah. Close though. I think Mike would have a problem as a hobbit.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah. And so I went to the desk. I got a ticket to get in, and also a mask for the clean part, because of course everyone is using these headsets. And I had to enter by scanning my face, otherwise I could not go in. So they scanned my face. It's funny that I went to this VR theme park twice, and the second time I went in there, I saw my old photo from the last time
They were already 3D printing an Nathie.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. So then I got into this lobby with like lights everywhere, and just pulsing, and yeah, like something from another world, next level. And in this VR theme park, you have over 30 different rides you can try, and I think I just jumped into all of them. I tried, at least. One of the highlights, I would say, would be the Beat Saber arcade. I'm sure everyone heard about those arcades. It's how could I say this? What it looks like? It's like an arcade from the past. It's like Dance Dance Revolution. Yeah, it's like a new version of Dance Dance Revolution, but then with Beat Saber and with that red and blue lights going all over the place. And that was amazing. It of course, when you're in VR, you don't see this design, but the people that walked around there, I noticed that almost all of them got really, attracted to this Beat Saber arcade. It pops out from all the other simulators there. And of course, you can hear the famous music from Beat Saber playing through the entire arcade, and you kind of just need to follow the music. And then you see those arcades, and it's amazing to see all these people playing next to each other. It's so magical, and makes you like so badass too when you're playing on it. It makes VR cool, and I think that's what this VR theme park did so well. Make VR not look like a gimmick or something that is kind of silly. No, it's like super badass, like extremely.
And were the experiences themselves also really good, or were they a little bit like they could use some work, or were they like cool?
Some
VR
of them were
experiences?
better than others, and that mostly depended on what headset they were using.
Okay.
Because some headsets are not made to be in an arcade. They can't last for a day and give you that solid tracking or that great frame rate. And I think the best performing HMD there was the Gear VR.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. I was like, you should use more Gear VRs. And yeah, you don't have the positional tracking, but it does the trick.
Most of them
and next to trying the Beat Saber arcade, I went on that slide. There's like a funny meme video of that, of someone like screaming on this slide going down super fast.
They've got one in London, yeah.
Yeah. And I think they actually imported that one from London to Nanchang, and yeah, super funny, really funny to try that out. And people were like looking at me like, what is this guy doing? I feel like it's weird. Like I felt so tall in China because most people are so, tiny. I was like, I'm like a giant, right? It's
So what about this huge robot arm that we've showed in the thumbnail of this video? Like that looks like insane. That looked completely insane.
So that robot arm is an arm from Kruger, and they also use these arms for manufacturing cars. If you have ever seen a video when cars get made, you see this arm super fast, like putting a door in there or painting the car. They use it for everything, for the heavy lifting, and super precise, right? So they bought one to modify and put a chair on the front that you can sit in, and to feel the G-forces, because this thing is so fast that it just shakes you around and drops you, and it was so intense, and they played a roller coaster with this device. But it reminded me of that that device, that simulator they use in Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like if I jumped on that thing, I'm just going to repaint the whole wall, with my vomit inside that thing.
It was intense, I can tell you that. It was intense. And it was also the last thing I tried because I knew that was going to be the most crazy thing of all. But impressive. And they spent a lot of money on it. I think it was like 100K
wow.
or maybe even more. I don't know. But it was one of their, of course, like show off things. But it delivered. Yeah, it was nice. But they said that most people that went to this arcade, they spend around 15 minutes in VR, and the rest of the time they just they go to the restaurant or they go to the shops because people there, they don't go to this VR theme park once. No, they go more than once. It's like, oh hey, this was fun, but let's go again later. So because
it's like a hangout.
It's like a hangout. It's like, as I said before, like an internet cafe in a way. But the craziest thing I tried was me sitting on a broomstick with like little ropes on the sides, pulling me up and down. I was in some kind of I was like a witch, and I was in a Harry Potter experience, flying through the air, and there was a war going on, and I got shot, and super mental stuff was happening. And I can tell you, some of these experiences were so intense. I was like, how can people even bear this? Well, others were fine, but you can say whatever you want about some experiences, maybe pushing it to the limit and being really intense, but this VR theme park is pushing it to the limit in the end. It's like that's what I like so much about the Chinese people. They are not afraid to try. I think if you would do this in the US or in Europe, they would be like, nah, let's tone this down because that's not ready yet. Well, they're just like, okay, let's just try everything and we'll see how it goes, and we'll learn from there and improve from there. And
so were they surprised when you went on this like broomstick thing that Draco Malfoy turned up and actually got to try it?
I should make a print screen of that and post it.
You should.
That's what the actual hack. That's a good one. Yeah, I roasted you too, so I mean, you can have it.
Certainly fair and love and more.
But the juicy part. Do you want to hear the real juicy part?
Yeah, sure.
Are you ready for this?
I am.
So apparently, Pimax owns a part of this theme park.
Oh, nice.
So
they're investing in that.
Yeah,
as well.
They are invested into this theme park, and then you would think that you only see Pimax headsets. Well, that wasn't the case. I also saw Oculus, Rifts, Vives, everything, every headset, and that's cool. You can see every headset playing its own role, and that's awesome. I think. Yeah.
So you mentioned also, I don't know if it was because when we were talking about this privately, but there were headsets out there that you'd never seen before, and there was one that kind of stood out for you, right? As being quite impressive.
Yeah, it's called 3D glasses, and it's solid. And I think if you really want to have it, you could import one from China. But yeah, I can tell you, like, while I was on this trip, I tried so many headsets I never heard of before that are super big there, but are only, made for the Chinese market. Especially if a Chinese company makes a headset and it's more for the consumer market, they tend to maybe stay in China because why not? I mean, it's such a big country. It's not like you really have to expand. But I haven't seen a Pimax 5K there or an 8K. Those were all 4K Pimaxes, and some of them got upgraded with light tracking. Some of them were just, not positional tracked at all because the 4K is not a positional tracked headset. So they upgraded those with all kinds of gadgets.
So did you see any SteamVR headsets there? Because they were mainly used in arcades in like Dubai, right?
No, I haven't seen those. But this park, when I entered, it was like 2 weeks old.
Wow.
So it's so new. I was the first one to even capture it.
Yeah.
So
if there was like one thing that you took from your trip in terms of like, because VR adoption is clearly bigger in that sort of market, the Asian market, right?
Yes.
What do you think we could learn from like in a Western market from Asia in terms of like driving VR adoption? Do you think it's arcades and like having these theme parks and the accessibility of actually trying VR, or do you think it's something else?
Yeah, I think the trying part is super duper important. Also, maybe willing to take that extra step.
Yeah.
That might be a bit risky. Of course, for us, that's a different story because the government doesn't help us to have a long-term vision and support our projects for a longer time. But I think that extra little bit of spice to it might let your company stand out if you develop something.
So you think also it's like a cultural thing that they're more willing to try stuff that's on the cutting edge out there than maybe we are in the Western market.
But they're also used to all the stuff that we are sometimes mind blown with is something they already have seen years ago, because they advance so fast.
Yeah.
So here I think VR arcades are still struggling to advertise it and get all kinds of people in there for a longer amount of time. There it's it just happens by itself. People come in there and I saw so many families going there too with their kids. I think that arcades in the Western market have a very specific audience. Well, in China it's more a broad audience. It's like, hey, we could go to a swimming pool today. We could go to, I don't know, we could golf, or we could just go to a VR theme park. It's like one of the options you would go for. Right. Well, here it's most people don't even know a VR theme park or a VR arcade is a thing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's cool. So, if we've got any comments or questions for Nathie in the chat, any sort of questions about his experiences?
When Nathie was on that broomstick, he looks like Malfoy.
Yeah, I know.
I've started this now. Yeah. Yes,
I'm damaged forever.
Yes.
Yeah. There were a lot of people also saying how would it look like in 1,000 years from now, maybe a little bit shorter than that, how people look at these kind of things. And it made me think of one thing as well. I don't know if you guys saw that movie about I think it's a bunch of Russians or Ukrainians that make a movie about how virtual reality looks like the outside. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, right, I did.
They all think they're doing cool. You should look it up. I'm not going to show it on the stream because it's maybe not really safe for work, but it's quite hilarious to watch that one. You can find a lot of Chinese stuff on AliExpress. I saw that as well.
Yeah,
okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's of course like filtered in a way. Also, something I thought was cool is that when people went to this VR arcade, they also had the option to go to the museum, because there was this big warehouse where they had all these experiences, but they had even a bigger warehouse that was bigger than the arcade, and that was a museum where you could see all the Oculus Rift DK1. Wow. People could learn about VR and really follow a timeline and see hey, what's going on with VR right now and what happened in the past, and those kind of things. Where do you see that? That's only something you see in China. And even at the arcade, they showed a futuristic version of the arcade, how it was going to look in 10 years. So you were walking through a room with holograms everywhere, and they were like, this is how it's going to look. So you saw this high-speed train, and you saw these drones flying around everywhere, and this arcade was in the middle of a blooming futuristic city that doesn't even exist yet. And that's something that they really know how to combine everything together and give people this thrill. And I think the most funny part was the shop, because they also had a shop. And what do you guys think they were selling in this shop? What do you think?
Souvenirs?
Yeah, but what kind of souvenirs?
I don't know, like snacks and stuff.
Snacks? Yeah, food? Rowdy, what do you think?
Virtual reality arcade machines.
Whoa, that's very specific and expensive, but okay. No, food, yes, in a way. Not arcade machines. You couldn't buy your own arcade machine.
I wanted to get that arm.
Well, if you want to know how much a Beat Saber arcade is, they told me that it's around 10,000 for the entire package. I think a PC would also be included in that. I think that's an okay price.
I think so, yeah.
But it's also because they use a mixed reality headset, and it's not the most expensive thing. But yeah, I thought they were going to sell some VR headsets, some souvenirs like T-shirts of of their VR theme park, and maybe some action figures, and or maybe like because they had like a dinosaur experience, like sell some dinosaurs for kids and things like that. But no, that was not the case. First of all, they were selling these. It's like a Segway, but then without you just stand on it, a hoverboard.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they were selling a lot of hoverboards. They were selling some VR headsets, but those were those, kind of like VR box ones where you put your phone in.
Yeah.
But not that much. They were selling vacuum cleaners, like Roombas. Yeah, they were selling Roombas.
That was going to be my second guess, though. To be fair, like vacuum cleaners. Yeah.
And they were selling puzzles. It was like a toy store, like you would go to with a mix of things. And
Wow.
and I was like, why that? Like, why not merchandise? But then I realized that, first of all, this park is so new, so they're still learning, and they just, they built this warehouse super big, and they're like, oh, we also need a shop. What do we need to put in there? And they just put something in there.
Vacuum cleaners.
And after all, they will learn what people buy and what they don't buy, and then they can change it up again. So some of the things you're like, it doesn't work yet, but it will over time. And it does make sense. If you are like a family in China is different than a family in Europe or the US. So it might be that a family goes there and one of the kids wants to buy a puzzle and the other one wants to buy a vacuum cleaner. I don't know. That could make sense, because otherwise, why would they put it there? It's not like they just put random stuff there. So it could be that someone is like, after a day of VR, like a VR theme park, they're like, I want to buy a vacuum cleaner.
It's very obvious that vacuum cleaner has been bothering you for quite some time. Like, why was there a vacuum? Actually, it was just like the place, the thing they used to like clean the entire place. Like, no, but I can buy it. Like,
yeah, they're probably thinking like, I'm so exhausted a day at the theme park, I can't even bear thinking about vacuuming like manually at home. Look, they have exactly what we need, a Roomba.
Yeah,
Perfect.
but don't underestimate the fact that people in China love to shop and they want to buy the latest stuff. And you need to know, like, a lot gets made in China, right? So they get a lot of gadgets, they get a lot of stuff. So they are all over the place with buying things, while we are more like, I need a new pair of underwear. And then you search for it or you order them online. Well, in China, they really go to places and they really want to shop and they see it as a fun activity. Well, sometimes, I don't know, like my mom, for example, doesn't see like shopping as the most fun thing. It's more like a serious thing. Like, I need to buy this now. Here's my list and let's finish it off. Well, there it's more of like a social activity too. So even that, a Roomba might sound weird if you start thinking about it more. It might make sense, but I do hope
actually
they will sell some merchandise.
It makes perfect sense, because the Mad Hatter just figured it out. He said in chat, when the wife sends you out to go and buy a new vacuum cleaner, you can first go and play some virtual reality.
Yeah, that's true.
Perfect.
That is true.
They thought this through.
That does make sense. So that's kind of my that was my other adventure at this VR theme park, and I will also upload a video of that. I did a tour, and I met the person who runs the arcade, and he toured me around. They even wrote an article about me. They made like photos and videos. They were super excited I was there, because in China there is no VR content creator who is doing it full time. So seeing people like us come there that publish content on a daily basis is something they love. And when I told them about my subscriber count, they were like, "Oh, that's small. It's very small." For them, that's like super tiny,
guys.
extremely tiny. But I was like, I'm the biggest one, so it's still pretty impressive. But they agreed on that after they saw my Titanic video. At least they were like, "Whoa, amazing."
So let us know in the comments if you've got any questions for us or Nathie about his trip to Asia, while I sort of round up the show times again. So just a reminder, it's a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. Tune into the show at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, 12 midday in Central US, or check out the audio version on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Anchor. Thank you for joining us in the chat today. Again, we always appreciate you joining us live, getting involved in the comments.
Yeah,
we've had a busy show, actually. We've talked about loads of stuff: Asgard's Wrath, Dirt Rally 2.0 coming to VR, and of course your adventures in Asia. So it's been a jam-packed episode this week.
And I want to thank everyone for the 1,000 likes on our Facebook page. We really appreciate it. If you want to follow us,
100.
we do have a Facebook page.
100. 100.
Not 1,000.
Not yet. That's probably next week. That's next week.
Make it 1,000.
Yeah,
Make
sorry.
it 1,000.
It's
1,000 on YouTube.
Though, but hey, we're getting there. But yeah, just letting you know that we do have a Facebook page, and we also have a Twitter account. They are, as far as I know, in the description below as well. And thanks so much for all the support. I mean, I'm so happy we got these 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. It feels like our podcast is becoming more mature. Maybe not in what we say sometimes, but
definitely not.
The way
definitely not.
It feels like a family, like you guys as well, like listening and watching. It's great, and we see it coming more to life, and we spend so much time into this podcast, and we have always been very patient. We never went for, hey, we want to have the most successful podcast, we want to be crazy booming with our VR talk show. No, we really wanted to just express what we feel about the VR industry and what we think, and that's our main goal, and everything that comes with that, if that's 1,000 subscribers or 100 likes on Facebook, that's a second for us. But most important is just sharing the excitement of VR with everyone here and just answering those questions. And it's just amazing to see everyone coming back every week and be like, hey, there they are again, and we are also like, hey, yes, let's do this. Let's,
Stop it. I'm gonna cry. Like,
yeah, I know.
It's like a tear coming in my eye already.
It's the podcast for me personally, and I'm sure for you guys as well, means a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
And,
definitely.
It's like a family thing now.
For sure. Highlight of the week every week, meeting up with you guys, just talking about VR and geeking out for an hour and
geeking out,
sometimes longer.
Yeah, it's just those personalities together makes it so spicy, so fun, so interesting, and it's only getting better from here. And just if you are watching and you haven't or you're listening and you haven't subscribed yet, maybe give it a try for a few weeks. See if you like it. If not, unsubscribe. If you want to stay, we accept you with open arms.
Yes. So, any final questions before we sign off and say goodbye for this week?
There was Norman that was asking: are VR arcades actually profitable? Are they making money or breaking even? I mean, I don't know. Maybe Nathie, but it might be a bit too early to say. Since
I think it's too early, and as I said before, in China they have a long-term vision, so they don't want to make money straight away. They want to build it up first. I think in a Western market, straight away, if you launch your arcade, survival of the fittest. You just gotta make it happen or not. Well, over there, it's like they can have an arcade for a year and no one comes there, and it doesn't really matter.
The big difference, though, is that, like you said, the arcades and the startups out there are being funded by the government, who are really pushing and backing emerging technologies like VR.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas that doesn't really happen anywhere else in the world.
No, you need to pay it from your own.
Exactly. Yeah.
I also see someone asking if we are going to Facebook F8. I don't think so. But I
don't think so either.
Expect to hear more about the Oculus Quest there.
Of course, yeah. And I'd imagine
where it's getting launched or like announced.
I would highly, I would put money on it that's going to be launched during F8, just like the Oculus Go was. We'll probably live stream something like we did last year, maybe.
Yeah, that's
if we don't end up going personally, but I doubt that we're going to be going.
But we want to.
Yeah,
we want to, of course.
So
always.
If anyone wants us to cover the event, then you know where to find us.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for all of you for joining us this week.
Yes.
Have a great week in VR. We'll be back as always next week at the usual time. So until then, have a great week in VR, and bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.